because this, when you read these letters, you get to the end of these letters, you can say to the church where you are something like this: what kind of letter would Jesus write to us? We've listened to what he said to each one of these churches. What kind of letter would we receive? Would we be like Ephesus, be a really good defensive church, but not very good at offense, leaving our first love? Would we be like Smyrna, that he commends in such high words, and so forth? We're up to the letter to the church at Ephesus. And that letter, I begin with point one, words of commendation. And he talks about things he knows about them and so forth. But then he gives words of warning. They all of their works were defensive. And brother, I'm going to tell you something. To the modern church, that's our problem in the United States. We're totally on defense. We're not on offense. If we're on offense, we'll be out there proclaiming the word. We'll be out there trying to win souls to Christ. So that's a concern to me, that we're all defense, because the Lord wasn't happy with Ephesus. They were a great defensive church. They just were a lousy offensive church. All right. Words of encouragement. He gives those at the end of the letter. And by the way, the introduction to that one, sometimes I use what is on the back of my card. And I say it was the capital of the Roman province of Asia. The Temple of Diana was one of the seven wonders of the world. It's mentioned in Acts 16:6 on Paul's outward bound trip on the second journey. He visited on the inward trek, made Paul want to return. Acts 18. He returned at the start of the third missionary journey, Acts chapter 19. And then don't forget Demetrius the silversmith, who caused Paul all kinds of trouble in Ephesus. All right, let me pause. Is this of any use to you? What do you
Yes,
think,
sir.
Taylor? Is it worthwhile or not?
Revelation's always been one of them that I've kind of backed away from, but I've sat in, I think, part of a Revelation class, and I like having this set up kind of the way you got it broke down, but that's something I can definitely build off of.
Good. Well, what I'm going to suggest is every preacher, all these lessons, all the way through the letters, every preacher not only can preach them, you ought to. I'm dead serious. Because this, when you read these letters, you get to the end of these letters, you can say to the church where you are something like this: what kind of letter would Jesus write to us? We've listened to what he said to each one of these churches. What kind of letter would we receive? Would we be like Ephesus, be a really good defensive church, but not very good at offense, leaving our first love? Would we be like Smyrna, that he commends in such high words, and so forth? You go right through that in a review. I think every week you can point out to the church, this is a letter from Jesus to a church. Would he write this letter to us right here, right now? Do we fit this? And sometimes that's a good question. Sometimes that's a bad question. would we be would we be like they were at Ephesus and leave our first love? Is that what he'd write to us? I hope not. But he might. Okay, the next letter, Church at Smyrna. The introduction, I just simply tell where it is: 40 miles north of Ephesus. Alexander the Great founded that city. The Olympic Games were held there, and large public library was also at Smyrna. Point number one, the Lord knew their past and present suffering. Sometimes I think we hurt and we don't think Jesus cares. That is a mistake. He knows what we're going through. Number two, the Lord encouraged them to endure. Hang on. You're going to be rewarded. So that is that letter. To the church at Pergamos. Notice, first of all, the Lord. Very important to see. He's the Lord. He's the master. Point number two, praise them for their loyalty. They'd been loyal, but then he warned them about their failure. The Nicolaitans were there. He talked about Balaam and so forth. Furthermore, he urged them to repent, and he said, if they don't, the Lord's going to deal with it, just like he dealt with Balaam, you might say. And then closes that letter, as he does so already all of them, with an encouragement to overcome. Yeah, Ernest, did you raise your
Yes,
hand?
Gary. Yeah, I did. You referred to the Nicolaitans. Um, I've heard it hypothesized, and I believe I've read it somewhere in early church fathers that the Nicolaitans were actually followers of Nicholas that we see mentioned in the book of Acts. What is your take on that?
Think we can know. That's not a great take. If somebody asked me that in class, I'd say, I told you at the beginning of this class that I don't know is a good answer, and that's what I'd say. I
Okay.
just don't know. It's possible, but I think here's my problem, Ernest, with that kind of thing. When we're presenting this kind of thing to the church, when we get off into that, then we get people's minds drawn away from what they really need to focus on. And
Okay.
what they, I want to focus on, well, what lessons do we learn first from the Nicolaitans themselves, and then second from the church's reaction to them? I think that's what's most important.
Were they an incipient form of Gnosticism?
I do not know. Uh,
Okay.
uh, I mean, okay, I did notice the doctrine enticed people away from God.
Right.
And I'm going from the text now to get that point. And
Okay.
they were trying to tempt his bride. Could it have been the beginnings of Gnosticism? I would say yes, it could have been. But was it? I'd say, well, I don't know that. I cannot answer that question.
Okay.
So I gave you a lot of I don't know there.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Gary. Sorry to interrupt.
no, don't. All right, look. Let me tell you what you didn't get to hear at the beginning. First of all, this is an optional class. So you all are here because you want to be here. Okay, let's start there. Secondly, I told everybody, now in your case, it's going to be difficult. I already know that. But I told everybody, if you want to leave your mic open, I don't care because this is a discussion class. This is not me lecturing and so forth. I'm not going to get all the way through all these sermons. By the way, you did find those, right? The PDF. The PDF is on the discussion. Look at the discussion on the LMS.
Yes.
I posted the PDF there, and you're
Okay.
free
Let
to
me take a look.
you're free to download that and use it. I'm fine with whoever using it.
Hey, Brother Hampton,
Yeah,
I know I keep coming back to this subject, and my apologies for that. It kind of connects in because it does speak to the kingdoms of the world. My friend, I'm dealing with a lot of friends that are very pro-Israel, that are
mhm.
very, and hey, listen, I'm not here to tell you who to like and who to support. But, when it comes to the Bible, my friend just sent me this and he said, Isaiah 31:5, he said, we got to stand, God's not going to let Israel fall. And I'm like, brother, what are you talking
Not
about?
well. He's already let them fall more
Right,
than one.
right.
They were defeated by Assyria. They were defeated by Babylon.
Is there a
Only if
good place to take him besides Galatians to discuss this? What, Romans maybe?
uh, I I have a sermon on the Israel of God. Uh, if you'll send me send me and I don't care if everybody does it. So, I'm not,
Do it right now.
but if you send me an email, I'll try to give you that sermon on the
Sorry, I
Israel
keep
of God.
sidetracking you.
No, you're not. Look, I told you all this. This is a discussion class. I'm not concerned. Ernest, did you find the PDF?
I think I'm worse stealing mess than you are, but I'm working on it.
You're right. When you get into the class, on the right hand side, it'll say on the top bar, it gives different options. One of those options is discussion. And if you look on the discussion, you'll see that I posted a PDF of all these Revelation. I just call them sermon seeds because very few people think what I give them is beyond a seed.